The boarding gate had that familiar buzz of rolling suitcases, half-shouted phone calls, and the exhausted sighs of passengers who'd been traveling too long. But when Adrian Cole stepped forward, a tall, calm, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit, everything seemed to quiet for a moment. Not because people recognized him as the CEO of the fastest-growing logistics tech firm in North America, but because of the tension that crackled from behind the counter. The agent didn't even glance at his ticket. "Sir, first class is boarding now," she said, lifting her palm like a stop sign. "This line is for first-class passengers only." Adrian gave the patient smile he'd had to perfect over years of being doubted before being welcomed. "I am first class," he said, offering the ticket again. She didn't take it. "Sir, please don't hold up the line. Step aside." Adrian felt several eyes turn toward him, some curious, some concerned, many simply tired, but one pair stood out. An elderly white man behind him with a cane and trembling hands. The man's chest heaved with shallow breaths, his face pale. Adrian stepped aside. "Yeah, but not for the agent." "You okay?" he asked the older man quietly. "Yeah, broken bar. I'll be fine," the man wheezed, though clearly he wouldn't. Adrian raised a hand to get the agent's attention again, but she waved him off with the same robotic, dismissive gesture. "Sir, please." He exhaled slowly and made a choice. He guided the older man forward. "He needs to sit down now." The agent frowned. "He's not first class either. He'll have to wait." A small crowd murmured. People shifted uncomfortably. But before anyone could argue further, the man's knees buckled. Adrian moved faster than anyone else, catching the man under the arms, easing him to the ground, steadying his head. A woman near the window gasped. Someone shouted for help. A flight attendant ran over with a bottle of water and a radio. The gate agent finally froze, her face draining of color. "He needs medical attention," Adrian said, his voice slow but steady. Within minutes, medics were rushing through the terminal. As they helped the man onto a stretcher, he weakly squeezed Adrian's hand. "Thank you." "I should be a broken bar said something earlier." "I just a broken bar, didn't want to cause trouble." "You're not trouble," Adrian said softly. But trouble was brewing elsewhere. While medics worked, the airline staff had switched shifts. A new supervisor, a man with warm eyes and silver hair, stepped in, reviewing the commotion with widening eyes. "What happened?" he asked. Passengers jumped to explain, several speaking over one another about the agent who refused to let a first-class black man board, the medical emergency, the chaos that followed. The supervisor's gaze grew more and more troubled. Finally he approached Adrian directly. "Sir, may I see your boarding pass?" Adrian handed it over without a word. The supervisor's face tightened as he saw the unmistakable seat 2A first class. "Mr. Coley, a broken bar. I am deeply sorry. This never should have happened." The gate had gone uncharacteristically silent. Even the agent, now stone still, seemed to be bracing herself. But Adrian wasn't thinking about her. He watched as the medics wheeled the older man toward the terminal exit. "Is he going to make it?" Adrian asked. "He'll be okay," one medic called back. "You got to him in time." Passengers began whispering to one another about the collapse, about Adrian's calmness, about the agent's treatment of him. Phones were out, people were filming. The supervisor noticed too. He gently put a hand up to block the nearest camera. "Please respect everyone's privacy." Then he turned back to Adrian. "Sir, a broken bar. I'd like to escort you to the plane myself." But Adrian shook his head. "Before anything else, check on the man's booking," he said. "Make sure he isn't traveling alone. See if he needs assistance getting home." The supervisor blinked, surprised. "Of course, yes, I'll personally check." As staff scrambled to track down the older man's travel arrangements, another problem erupted literally on the departure board. A sudden alert flashed. "Flight delayed, day maintenance issue." Passengers groaned. Someone muttered that the day just kept getting worse. Others started lining up with complaints, swarming the counter. The overwhelmed agent, now trembling, struggled to answer even the simplest questions. Several passengers demanded to speak to the supervisor. Voices rose. Tensions spiked. And then, unexpectedly, People turned to Adrian. "Hey, weren't you the guy who helped earlier? Can you talk to them? Maybe they'll listen to you. You seem like the only one here who knows how to keep things together." Adrian looked around. The chaos wasn't his responsibility. He wasn't on the airline's payroll. He had every right to sit down, put on his noise-canceling headphones, and wait. But he took a slow breath and stepped toward the front. "Everyone," he said in a calm, project leader voice that carried more authority than volume. "Let's give the staff a moment. They're trying to sort the maintenance issue." A few passengers quieted. Others kept grumbling. Adrian continued, steady and patient. "Look, a broken bar. I run a company that manages thousands of moving parts every hour. Sometimes things break. Sometimes people get overwhelmed. But things go faster when we stay organized." The crowd eased. Inch by inch, people started backing up, making room at the counter. The supervisor shot him a grateful look. A grandmother traveling with 2 kids whispered to Adrian, "Thank you." They were getting scared. He smiled at the kids, giving them a reassuring thumbs up. Then the boarding door opened again unexpectedly. A pilot stepped out. "We got the maintenance issue cleared, folks. We'll be boarding in 15 minutes. A collective sigh of relief washed through the terminal. Even the toddlers seemed to relax. The supervisor approached Adrian once more. "Mr. Coley, a broken bar. We'd like to offer you any seat you want, even the crew rest suite." But Adrian wasn't looking at the first-class cabin entrance anymore. He was watching as the medics returned, handing the supervisor a note and giving a thumbs up. "He's stable," one medic said, "and he told us he travels alone, but he kept saying, 'Hey, please tell that young man thank you. Tell him he saved me twice. First my health, then my dignity.'" The words hit harder than Adrian expected. A quiet stillness filled his chest. Passengers who overheard stepped back, some with softened expressions, others with tentative smiles. The gate agent approached Dana hesitantly, her eyes glassy. "Sir, a broken bar. I shouldn't have a broken bar. I made assumptions. And I'm sorry." Adrian studied her fascia, nervous, ashamed, genuinely remorseful. "It was a rough moment for everyone," he said. "Just a broken bar. Try to look closer next time. People aren't always what you expect." She nodded quickly, grateful. When boarding finally resumed, the supervisor held out a boarding pass. "Seat 1A, compliments of the airline." No strings. But Adrian gently shook his head. "Thank you, but I'll take 14C." "Coach," the supervisor said, startled. Adrian shrugged, closer to the kids who were scared. "And if that older gentleman needs help getting home when he lands, I'll be the first to meet him at the gate." Passengers nearby exchanged looks, some touched, some stunned. As he walked down the jet bridge, people stepped aside for him with quiet respect. A few murmured thank yous. One man placed a hand over his heart as he passed. Row 14 wasn't spacious. His knees brushed the seat in front of him. The armrest clicked stubbornly. The overhead bin was half full. But when the grandmother from earlier sat across the aisle, her grandkids beaming wide-toothed smiles at him, Adrian felt something he hadn't felt even in the most luxurious first-class suites. A rare, warm, human fullness, the kind that didn't need legroom or champagne, the kind that came from something far better,